just got out of a funeral. I mean, you've been to a funeral, right? It's not something you want to experience, but throughout the course of a human lifetime, you are bound to have to say your unfortunate goodbyes. But a Zoom funeral, though? We've really come to that point, huh? Where we just sit there in the comfort of your own home and set up this laptop, possibly donning a funeral attire, much like this one, and you log into Zoom, and there you are at a funeral with 99 other participants, because Zoom has a maximum capacity of 100 participants. And you just sit there watching the Ustad who hosted the funeral weep and weep in prayer alone on Zoom while everyone is on mute. Just like me, just sitting there, watching him. There isn't a body to be seen during the meeting, the funeral. None of his family members are present, which is understandable given the circumstances. That's just so sad. I can't imagine how they feel. I mean, I wouldn't be able to muster the energy to set up the laptop and log into Zoom just to get online if it was my own family member. It would just remind me that this is barely a funeral. Imagine not being able to take part in your husband's or father's funeral just because this app says, "This meeting has reached a maximum capacity of 100 participants. Please try again later." Throughout history, we have evidence of various burial ceremonies across the world. Every culture has its own way of dealing with life and death, the human cycle. And with the technological advancements in our lives, we tend to forget our needs for the human experience because technology is designed to make it so accessible and easy for us to FaceTime friends, order food, take classes online. I mean, both my parents were on FaceTime to witness my wedding ceremony because they're in Malaysia and they couldn't be there. But at the end of the day, you and I, we're designed with 5 senses for a reason. I wasn't close to the person who was recently deceased. He was an ustad and a chairman of an Indonesian mosque here in New York and was the officiant of my wedding. He also played the role of my father and handed me off to my husband since my father couldn't physically be there. He organized this short and sweet ceremony which was as comfortable as possible in this mosque for 2 lost millennials who had no idea what to do and no one to turn to except for each other. And on March 15, 2020, that was the last time we saw him. He was old yet healthy, just like a regular Indonesian uncle should be. And then today, he was just gone, just like that. If we weren't trapped in the cyber boxes, all I want to do is to see him. Physically see him and thank him for everything he has done to help me. I want to at least be able to salam and shakes his wife's hand and tell her so she can hear me. Actually hear me and tell her that her husband was indeed a good man. A privilege it would be just to gather around and commemorate this man's life, but that is all just a privilege now, and all we can do for him and everything he has done and worked for is but a simple Zoom funeral.
The month before my first day of university, I'd packed out my entire bedroom. Collages, photos, and posters taken down from walls, old clothes and figurines given away to charity, or handed down to younger cousins I'd never met. Photo albums moldy and so sticky they just had to be thrown away. All my years sorted into bins and boxes, trying not to collect dust once I'd moved out. I was barely gone 3 months when Dad called, asking when winter break would start. He was getting me a ticket home. "We've collected enough miles to get you a discount," he said. "It's okay," I said. "Save it for the summer, that's the longest one." "Yeah, but Christmas is in December." "Yeah, but it's just 3 weeks, Dad. It's not worth it." "Yeah, but we cannot celebrate Christmas without you." "We don't celebrate Christmas, Dad." "Your mom says she feels like doing it this year." "Oh, really?" "Yeah, she said you are getting homesick." I haven't even spoken to her. "Just come back. I'm not arguing with your mother again. Send me the dates." When I returned home, nothing had changed apart from my bedroom, which now seemed like storage space for the rest of the family. The mahjong table pressed against the cupboard, now filled with old books and CDs, even though we didn't have a player anymore. And Sean's old skateboard and dumbbells underneath. The blue tack stains still remain on the walls. They had thrown out my 18-euro mattress, so Dad got me a cheap foldable one a few days before my arrival. And that night, lying on that uncomfortable foam bed that still smelled faintly of cellophane, I realized I was never, ever going back to the life I left behind when I first boarded that plane to New York. We never celebrated Christmas as a family, maybe once or twice with a couple of high school friends. But this year, Mom pulled out all the stops and made a crazy 6-course meal just for the 4 of us. Or rather, just for me. "It's your Tatia's fault," she told Sean, even though no one had said anything. "So skinny already. The American food got no nutrients." I used chopsticks for the first time in over 10 weeks, and I could feel my parents watching me closely through the corners of their eyes. Mom has this special dish. Okay, it's not special, but she drizzles this specific ratio of sesame oil, soy sauce, and fish sauce over cold noodles, which makes it fragrant, but doesn't overpower the other dishes on the table. And it was fantastic. And it also reminded me of the stir-fried noodles I had in my dining hall back in New York. And I mentioned to them how surprisingly good that tasted, and Mom cut in saying, "Yeah, so good, you eat until you're so fat already." "What? But you said I was skinny just now." "No, I never say such a thing." You did," Sean piped in. And Mom glared at Sean and said, "If you think all your hot dog and spaghetti is better than your home-cooked food, then you're wrong," and started stabbing at the rest of dinner. I didn't speak to Mom for the rest of the meal. Offered to clean up, but she insisted on doing everything on her own. That night, Mom knocked a bottle of vinegar off the kitchen counter. It smashed, and vinegar seeps through the cracks in the tiles. The smell has remained in the kitchen ever since. For the rest of winter break spent on that island of the eternal summer, I'd spend my afternoons hammering out essay after essay on that annoying foam bed, or hanging out with old friends. We'd stay out until dinner time, when I'd take the same route back home, walking under rows and rows of glowing lanterns as the sun set. But returning to this amber-lit street day in and day out, this sense of familiarity gradually grew into a sense of dread as I neared the apartment. This place didn't feel like home anymore, and as soon as I reached the front door, I'd feel so suffocated I wanted to leave again. On my last day, the hour before I left for my flight back to New York, Mom came into my room and started mopping in the midst of my packing. So, when are you coming back again? I don't know. Summer break, I guess. Good! You stay there on your own. No one to bother you. I've got friends, Mom. Who? Like, Jamie? You know, my roommate. You friended her on Facebook. She has glasses. Oh. She also go home? Yeah, San Francisco. See? That girl's smart. Know how to stay close to her family. What? Mom, she literally moved from the West Coast to the East. Yeah, I know. But it's also America, right? Anything happens, she can just fly back. Yeah, so can I. Oh, you will? Funeral very short, no? At most only 1 week, not like Christmas so long. Who's dying? You don't know, me? Everyone will die. Your parents will die. Even you will die. Okay? Yeah. You wait, okay? See, after we die, then you know how much we give you. Then we'll be all by yourself. I'll still have Sean. You think Sean will take care of you? All my children grow up ready, don't care about anybody but themselves. This room you clean yourself. And with that, she threw the mop on the floor and stormed out of the room, shouting at nobody in particular.
Where am I from? Can I not answer that question today? And I'll tell you why. They call me Lu Kung, which in Thai literally translates as half child, because I'm half Thai and half white, right? I mean, it doesn't matter where the white part is from, it's just not here. And to them, I'm incomplete. Where are you from? Is the first question I'm asked, and not in the way that would imply they were interested, but in the same way Tweedledee or Tweedledum would ask Alice what the password was. It was clear that I didn't fit in to any boxes, and it was clear that because I didn't fit in any of their boxes, that I could never be a part of their world. Boxes. That's all this world is made of. And even today, I mean, there are bigger boxes for all kinds of people to fit in, but when you're mixed, it's almost as though you're invisible. It doesn't matter how we feel, unless you're really ridiculously good looking, and then you're accepted. And I say accepted like that because that's only under the condition that you do as you're told and allow yourself to become an entertaining puppet for a society that will only love you if you're famous. And then you go into the famous box with clear walls, so everyone can stare at you like a shaved panda in a cage. Which, I'm sure if you ask any famous person, they'd tell you it's pretty shit. But when it comes down to it, you're still not one of them. So you go to the other side. How about them? Will they let me in? What's your other half? They ask me. Well, I say, My father was British, English to be exact. And in complete disbelief, I'm asked, "How come you don't have an English accent?" Because I never lived there. My dad chose to explore the world and settle elsewhere and then, poof, have me. "You're not really English then," they say to me. But I hear, so you're not one of us. You don't fit in this box. Well, fuck. 2 boxes down, and I'm still boxless. In a way, I can kind of see their perspective. I don't share all their cultural traditions and childhood memories. I don't understand British patriotism, nor do I understand the constant need to save face in Thailand. I mean, if you're hurting, why can't you just be hurt and then leave room to heal? If I could just hit the reset button, there wouldn't be any boxes. You wouldn't have to tick any on your form. You could just say I'm human and my box would be spherical. And we'd all fit in. Like one big multicultural, whatever gender, sexuality, shape, size, age, class, orgy, where we were all identified by our humanness or lack thereof, and the walls would be porous, allowing the osmosis of all kinds of human nature, from mistakes and regret to compromise and forgiveness. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll have the tom yum goong. Nice and spicy, please. And a cup of tea. Thanks.
No Indians, no chubby, and no feminine. These are the words that kept flashing on my phone for the past 5 years on an app that I use to seek love and attention. But I am those 3 things. And because that I am those 3 things, I am put into this box. This one-dimensional box, small and empty, and was labeled that I was too ugly to even talk to, too insignificant to even be considered. Even if I was to be acknowledged, it was only to be reminded that I was not their type. I guess talking was too much to ask from these people. My only exposure to the queer community was through these online means, and where I get to meet my own people and experience the intimate moments that I've been suppressing for almost half of my life. And I know what you might say, but it's just a preference. But I want to argue with you on that. Coughing out blatant discriminatory remarks and dismissing them as someone's preferences, this is the true reality that we're all just oblivious to. Just because my body is different from yours, less defined, just because my skin is much more darker than yours, just because I move my hands and I walk a certain way, I am less desirable, ugly, insignificant. How is that different from the harsh words that we hear from outside of the community, from the people who deem us as weird? It's almost as if we live in a cave, where the harsh words are hollered from the outside, enters the cave, and it bounces off the walls and reaches the deepest part, where it reaches the crevices. The small, insignificant crevices that everybody doesn't pay attention to, doesn't even spare a glance to look at. A crack in an otherwise smooth exterior. And soon enough, as if like polluted air, I breathe everything in and I let it circulate my body. I in turn become just like them. I begin to scrutinize and nitpick and overanalyze every small detail about my body and other people. And the worst thing that I did was apologize for things that I can't even change about myself. The dreaded three-phase criteria. I kept saying, I'm sorry I'm Indian. Are you okay with me being fat? You sure you're okay with me being sissy? It was a very dark time and I was numb. I couldn't feel the negativity that I had already embraced inside of me. That what I deemed was normal was now my everyday routine. Now, after realizing this, it is going to be weird to celebrate Pride every year, every June, in fact. What exactly am I celebrating? Am I really celebrating Pride? Am I celebrating the acceptance of queer people? Or am I accepting and celebrating the glamorification of the perfect queer identity? Am I celebrating the hate I receive? I don't know. And I want to know. I want to know how many people are oblivious to the hate that they give and their bully-like ways as they shine that pink light every June at Hong Lim Park. And I want to know how many people hide behind those shadows of the pink lights and stay quiet. Not loving themselves and thinking that this is normal. Unable to feel proud because of that three-phase criteria. Like myself, they stay silent because after all, it's just a preference, right? And after that, they go home, they shut their doors, they go through that whole process again, they're off their phones, and they sleep. Only to continue this the next day. Thank you.
So I've been working in a supermarket throughout this whole pandemic, and compared to other stores, ours is doing fuck all to protect its staff. I mean, apart from a couple of makeshift arrows made out of gaffer tape placed throughout the store, but I mean, how can you expect people to follow them when you don't even bloody tell them when they come in? It's these same customers that are wearing these masks that are coming into contact with you. They'll just be reaching right over you as you're stacking the shelves, or just take the things out of your hands. And it's the same people as well. They'll remove their mask to speak to you. I know I should probably say, please miss, keep 2 meters away, give me 1 minute and I'll be out of your way. But instead I frantically jump and get out the way and huff. You'd think being a passive-aggressive would give them the message, but I was told that gripping the knife will still make you bleed. But please, please come closer to me and take no heed. But why tell me you're sorry for coming into contact with me? I don't want to be here. I'm here because I know I'm needed. But I'm stood placid whilst there's a conveyor belt of hundreds, nay thousands of people making their way every day. And all you can say is that you're sorry for possibly contaminating me and all the other people. Will you start actually caring and taking this seriously when people you know are dying? Every person I come near, every surface I touch, every person that even fucking breathes on me, I'm getting more and more scared, more frightened, more worried, more panicked, more frustrated. What if I infect my family? What if I infect my father who's got high blood pressure? If one of them gets ill and possibly dies, it's all down to me. But some of my managers don't even care about us. All they do is take their stupid fucking pallets out onto this fucking shop floor and that's it, job done. They don't understand what we are going through. I mean, my boyfriend told me It's kind of a joke, really. You're all risking your lives for minimum wage. You see, there's only so much smiling and, saying, oh, don't worry, the hours are hard to miss. And, oh, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, really great. How are you doing? Hope you're keeping well and safe. How's Sue? How's Jess? How's your daughter doing before the cracks start to show? They say we can't police one person per household in the store, but how come every other store is? Our store has become a social meeting for everybody to come in with their families and newborn babies. You're really fine with your shitty one-way system and tape on the floor, and people can't see you because you're sat just in your little office safely hiding away, out of harm's way. But because, us wearing a mask it's too unprofessional. It's too unprofessional. But you see, I just don't feel safe. I mean, ironically, here's a diary entry from the week before. I had to come out for a walk today by myself. I feel like I'm not allowed to be or feel anxious or upset or feel that I just need to be alone for a bit. It's not anything negative on them, the reason why I'm feeling like this. It's just sometimes it all gets a bit much. But I'm the one that has to always work through it silently and by myself. But if I just want to be alone for just a while, everyone's on the defence. They always assume something's gone wrong with my boyfriend. And I mean, things are fine on that aspect. I mean, as fine as they can be 200 miles away in lockdown. But I mean, I just miss my independence. I miss my privacy. I really love and value my family, but I can't be there for everyone's joke every time they want me to do something. I mean, I'm the resident fucking Alexa at this point. Sometimes I hate to say it, but I think they take advantage of my willingness to do things and be there for them so much that as soon as I say no one time, it's too much. I'm sorry, there's only so much pretending I can do until the veil has to be lifted and washed and dried before pretending starts again. I think they forget that anxiety and depression doesn't just go away. It's always there, ready to come back and scream hello. This whole pandemic feels like a slow and torturous nightmare. The detachment and disassociation is starting to seep in. And I'm clawing on with chipped and bleeding nails to keep my roots in the ground, but the only positive I keep coming back to is that Mother Nature must be really thriving right now and thanking us. Suddenly the birds feel louder, they're chirping louder, and in a perfect harmonious symphony. The air feels fresher, clean, the breeze going through my hair, eyes, mouth, nose, mouth, and my whole body just is breathing into me. Suddenly, trivial things such as social media seem meaningless and pointless. I mean, this was just after I had got myself dolled up and posted an Instagram photo. But maybe that was my frenemy anxiety, afraid of feeling irrelevant or forgotten. At times those intrusive thoughts are getting a little harder to clear whilst infesting in a place of static momentum where no breath feels deep enough. But hey, at least I'm going back to work in a few days. Be careful what you wish for, Paloma.
I'm facing the very real issue that I may have anxiety that needs to be actively treated. I didn't realize this until last month, until I read, on a self-care site no less, that this is a big problem. I mean, it's ridiculous. We have so many of these websites and pages on social media, many of those that are now going, how to do self-care from home. I mean, what are the odds that a source designed to give you calm ends up giving you the most disturbing revelation of your life? And that's exactly what happened to me. One of these sites listed my day-to-day behavior and habits as symptoms, as underlying symptoms of a deeper problem. And that's when I went, oh no. And as I dug deeper and found more credible sources of information, it began to hit me. It's a real problem. I had never thought it was, but it's definitely worrying me now. I have anxiety. And I'm anxious about my anxiety, about how I clock items 3 times before purchasing them, how I count steps, how I overplan, how I head back to a pothole in the road and circle it 3 times because doing that will keep me safe, how I put eggs back on the shelf 6 times, back and forth, multiple times, before choosing one that will not poison me. I've done these a lot with products when shopping, but recently, the last few months, I've found myself cycling through items more often than usual. About 6 weeks ago, I went out with my mom, and it took me 20 minutes to choose a mascara that I felt would not cause my eyelashes to fall out. I was choosing between 12 of them, all of which were the same. Last month, I had severe anxiety when I was booking a train ride for London. I was so afraid because I couldn't reserve a seat on the train that seemed safe. So I couldn't even go ahead with the actual booking of the ticket itself. And I needed that ticket to get safely from the airport to my doorstep. Finally, I met a friend the day before I flew who forced me to sit down and book it. And again, we went back and forth with me asking, wait, is it safe? But what about that seat? Is that safe? No, wait, what about this one? Finally, he gave up and he said, you know what? Just book the ticket. Just book it. Forget about reserving a seat. That bus will probably be empty and you'll save money. He was right. When I got to London and got onto the bus, he was right. It was empty. I didn't have to waste money reserving anything after all. My anxiety saved me 3.5 pounds. But it also cost me 3.5 days. And that was when I realized the difference between cost and value. And that's also when I realized it's time to get some help. When I finally got back home from London, I was ready to find a therapist, but then I had to undergo a 2-week quarantine. And for many, it's very difficult to feel cooped up within the confines of your own home. But for me, it was the calmest 2 weeks of my life. I was at peace and my level of stress was at an all-time low. It's a privilege not experienced by many, but being at home was wonderful for my mental health. I was home and I was safe, and I was also asked to set aside a dedicated set of cutlery to prevent any possible transmission, which also took a huge relief off my chest during meal times. Previously, I would cycle through the plates, spoons, and forks at least 3 times before I chose a safe one. This time, I had dedicated cutlery that was safe and all mine, and it took the guesswork out of even eating, and I was able to just enjoy my food and do other things. I finished learning Danish level 1. I recorded multiple songs in my bedroom, and so far, I've baked 2 cakes. Now, my biggest fear is what to do when I get out. I'm learning a new language, but I'm struggling to articulate what is it I'm feeling and what to do about it to those close to me. I have activities and a home that provides me safe harbor, but I'm terrified of going back out into a world and living in a culture where calmness is not an aim. For now, Our lockdown has been extended by a month, and I now have until the 7th of May to figure out how I'm going to deal with this for the rest of my life.